everyone, and welcome to another webisode of my story, where I tell my story in 15-minute increments, one webisode at a time. So, okay, where was I in my story? My husband had just gotten back from war, and we were starting our life together. And I was sued for custody by my ex. So I was working on court, and I don't know why. I had this feeling of he doesn't need them until they're older. I always wanted to tell them about their father. I wanted them to know who their father was. I didn't want to mislead them and make them believe that Dave is their father. I was so happy for the pictures that I had of Zach and my first daughter back whenever she was 6 months old and he had come to visit me. I was going to show them that picture and be like, this is your dad. I was going to be like, he's such a great guy, because I grew up people trashing my mom all the time. Everywhere I went, people would trash my mom. And there was a point in my adolescent years that I was like, my mom's trash, so I'm trash. And it wasn't true, but there was this stuff that I had to work through because everybody around me trashed my mom if she wasn't there. And so I thought, they must trash me too. I am also of my mom. So I never wanted to tell any of my kids that their parents are anything less than the wonderful creatures that they are. So I didn't want that to be in their head, and I never would. But that was brought up in court. I mean, it's brought up later. Zach and his mom were convinced that I was going to teach my kids that they're bad people. And I couldn't do that. I can't do that. I can't. I made it a point to talk good about Zach and his mom in front of my kids for years and years and years. If my daughters could get in here in front of this camera, if I would allow them, if they wanted to. And they would tell you, no, my mom always spoke good about my dad and my grandma. Always. And anytime that we spoke bad about him, she would correct us. Because even with what's to come, it's just, I don't want my kids thinking that they're anything less than magnificent. So it's just how I believe, and it's my heart, and my heart's not going to change just because people perceive me to be different than who I actually am. But anyways, Dave and I were trying to buy a house, and he had one more tour that he had to do, and then he would come back and get out of the army, he said. So we were looking for a house, and because I had to do these lawyers, and I told Dave what my plan was with the lawyers, basically to delay court as often as I can delay court. And that costs more money. You have to keep paying the lawyers to do that. And Dave was down, though. He was like, I understand. At this point, Zach, back whenever Dave and I first got married, before Dave went to the war, Zach would call him at work all the time, and Dave has to answer his work phone in a certain way, Corporal Dave, he has to say that. And then Zach would just make fun of him, and Zach would tell him all kinds of lies about me, about how I'm a hoe, I'm a slut, he doesn't want to be with me, and how I spend all the money. I'm a gold digger. Oh yeah, and that Zach was telling everyone that I was a gold digger. Like, everyone back home was calling, and they're like, what? You're a gold digger? Oh my goodness. And I had this running joke because Zach called me a gold digger. I used to sing the song, but not with the right words. I would say, now I ain't saying that she's a gold digger, but she sure is messing with some broke boys. I'm not going to say it. Sorry, I'm just not. But she sure is messing with some broke boys, So, yeah. That's how I was. So, a gold digger that forgot to go after the guys with all the gold. you know, because Zach didn't have no gold. Not whenever I was with him. If he got gold after I was with him, good for him. I'm so happy for him. I didn't foresee that happening. I figured that he barely passed high school because I helped him. Of course, he was like he could have got any girl to help him, but whatever. I did not think that he was a gold mine, and neither did I think that Dave was a gold mine. But Dave did have more money, more security was with Dave for sure. But yeah, Dave and I we were wanting to buy a house, but also we had court, lots of court, family court, and my plan was to have lots of family court. And I don't know. It's like there's been multiple times in my life where this happens where I'm trying to manifest something big and then like this big obstacle gets in my way, and every single time I'm like, there's this, you can't have it both, you can't have it both, you can't have it both. And I look at them both and I'm like, I'm gonna have them both. I'm gonna find a way. I will find a way to have them both. So I was like, we're gonna get a house and we're gonna be able to pay all the lawyer fees. We're gonna be able to do this. I know we are. And so I did. I found a way. But it seems like also whenever I'm trying to manifest something big, the universe just throws it like whenever I get my mindset on, okay, we can have it all, I just got to work hard, here comes another curveball. Like I'm juggling 2 balls, I'm doing really good, I can juggle these 2, and then here comes the third. And you should be able to juggle 3, but you need to know what you're doing to be able to juggle 3. And yeah, I didn't quite know what I was doing. But so the third ball that shows up. So Dave and I are trying to buy a house, and we find a rent to own, and this is just so perfect. It's a young couple. They do house flipping all over, and they're willing to work with us to do this rent to own in this nice neighborhood. And we're like, awesome. And because of lawyer stuff and everything, we're having to make sure that we have the proper down payments and everything. And then the house that we're in, we weren't going to be able to move in to that house. I think closing was about 3 months off. And we were doing everything that we could to get that in situated and in order. And the house that we were renting from, the basement floods. And I called the landlord. Now, when Dave was at war, whenever I first came to this house, the landlord would come to my house once a month, and she would just look around and stuff. This is the house that she grew up in, and she just, there was sentimental value there. And me and her got along really well. Once Dave got back from war, Dave doesn't really like people to come over a whole lot, and she would come over and I wouldn't talk to her a whole lot because Dave is uncomfortable. But it's like I looked at it as, oh, it's someone else visiting, this is so nice. But it's like she was inspecting the house whenever she would come over. And yeah, when Dave was there, I did let the house go a lot more than when Dave wasn't there. When Dave wasn't there, I was just, Miss Susie Homemaker, and I would talk to him in my mind, and we would have these really great, nice conversations. When Dave was there, he was a little bit more grumpy, and he would drink a whole lot. He would play his video games if he wasn't at work, and he was really grumpy. Whenever he wasn't there, I would invite friends over from school. We would all hang out. Now I invite friends over, he would get even more grumpy, so I'd be like, okay, no more coming over, It's just, he's trying to adjust, and it is how it is. But the basement floods, and the landlord freaks out, and she says, like, it's all our fault. Come to find out, what flooded the basement is roots had grown into the pipes down there. I never used the basement. My kids never used the basement. She tried to say that my kids put toys in the toilet and that's what flooded it. She got so mad. She gave us a 30-day eviction notice. We had 3 months before we can move into our new house, but we now have 30 days to get out of this house. And she served us with papers. She sued us for flooding the basement. And it was just all crazy. So I did have to go get a lawyer. My babysitter, the lady that watched the girls, she said, I know the perfect person. And he like worked for me for a discount. So now I had to have 2 lawyers. I had to have my lawyer for family court, and I have my lawyer for this. This one, I wasn't trying to keep moving out. I was just like, I just want it to be fair. That's all. She was suing for like a lot of money, which I was just like, there's no way. Like there would be no way that I could have a family court lawyer. We can have our new home and give her $10,000. There's no way. I couldn't do all that. And so I was like, I've got to fight this, and I had to pay another lawyer a couple thousand. So now I have 2 lawyers, a family lawyer and a civil lawyer. Oh my goodness. And I didn't want to stretch things out with her, but it did get stretched out for a little bit. But whenever we finally went to court, the judge did, I mean, I had all kinds of proof. I had gotten a plumber that came and looked at it a month before it flooded, because I knew that down there things were happening. I was making spooky noises. I mean, it was just spooky down there. My kids wouldn't go down there, y'all. They were scared. They all stayed upstairs with me. And I know that my kids were not the ones that flooded. I just know that they're not. They're just not. Now, there was some place in the upstairs living room where my kids had colored on the wall. But all little toddlers do that, right? I had 2 toddlers and a baby, so yeah, I mean, they all do that. And the judge was like, yeah, you do owe her. Like, the judge decided that it wasn't our fault that the basement flooded, but we do owe for some damages that were done. I found it ironic because whenever we first moved in, she made me, because we had a dog, she made me sign, it was just a tiny little dog, little fluff dog, but she made me sign a pet agreement and I had to give a pet deposit, and I was thinking, this is my kid deposit. It didn't turn out that way. I tried to argue it in court, it didn't work. But I was like, my dog didn't cause any damages. My kids just colored on the walls, and there was a place where there was like some holes in the walls and stuff too. All upstairs. All the damage was upstairs. None of it was downstairs because we never went down there. The only time my kids would go down there is if I went down there, and I would be down there the whole entire time. If I went upstairs, they would go upstairs. They would instantly go upstairs with me. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, it was a big mess. And moving out of there, we had to go stay with his friend on post, the one that I stayed with his wife while, so, and it was just, they live in this tiny little on post apartment because he's smaller rank, and your rank on post depends on how big your place is. So they have a big family, we have a big family. It was crazy. We just had to be there for a couple months while we were getting everything settled to get into our new home. So that's what we were doing, and we did. We were able to sign the paperwork, and we got into our new home, and I loved this home. It was so beautiful. I was so excited, and I don't know, things were beginning to look good. But also, I talk about this court stuff as if it was quick. We were getting sued while we were moving into the house, so it was still another year before the court stuff actually got resolved with that stuff. It ended up being that we had to pay her a couple $1,000s for damages, and give her light bulbs, because my husband took the light bulbs whenever he moved out, and apparently in that state the law is you can't take light bulbs. So that was the only thing. But honestly, I think she ended up paying more in lawyer fees. I know that I did. I paid more to my lawyer than I did to her at the end. And I know she probably paid more in her lawyer fees than she got from us. I don't know why she thought that it would be a great idea to sue us. We were a brand new family, just barely surviving. It's so crazy to me, but I guess I understand. I don't know. When the basement flooded, it flooded all of Dave's Army stuff. The Army was understanding, but Yeah, not all of his stuff, but it flooded a lot of his stuff too, and it was crazy. It was crazy. We had to deal with a whole lot. It was tough. It was tough times, tough times, and beautiful times all rolled into one. But isn't that life? I think that's life, and that was my life, and I'm so glad that I lived it. And I'm so glad that you guys are watching it and listening to my story with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here for another webisode. You made it all the way to the end. You are amazing. My favorite people on earth are the ones that make it to the end of my story. Y'all are so amazing. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I pray that you are all blessed with massive amounts of love always. My story. That's all she got.